Hey guys, April here. Welcome to my channel and welcome to a comic review for February. That's right, I read something, y'all. I have been in a reading slump, I think they call it, for about a month and a half, but I finally started reading comics again and some other things, but I just didn't want to talk about those. They didn't inspire me to do a video or to even deal with Premiere Pro as an editor. That software is not user-friendly. Anyway, I got a stack of books here. We're gonna zip through them kind of quickly, but I'm gonna tell you about what I've been reading because some of this stuff is just really awesome. So let's start off with something that I have mentioned before, and it is 1975. This is written by Joe Casey and the artwork is done by Ian Maeswan. It's about a character, a woman here named Pamela Evans, and she is a taxi driver in kind of an alternate universe 1975 New York City, where she takes her fares from one place to another, as well as dispatch demons by the use of a magical tire iron. Now, if you like blaxploitation type entertainment, this is right up your alley. Now, it's not fully like Shaft or anything, but it definitely has that 1970s kind of like the aesthetic, the artwork, the color usage, and the dialogue, and even some of the kind of tropes that are in here. Like, there's a DJ that Pamela listens to at night while she's driving her cab, and not only does he play, you know, the OJs and things like that, but he tells information as to what's going on the streets. So if there's like a gang activity on this block here, you can avoid that. Or if there's something mysteriously happening over there, she can go there and kind of dispense her brand of justice. And she has a relationship with this DJ too, but it's kind of interesting how to see that imagery again, because you don't see that anymore about disc jockeys being kind of local and knowing what's going on the street, because everything is owned by Clear Channel now. So I don't know where Clear Channel's home base is. Could be on the moon for all I know, but they couldn't tell you what's happening on the streets of LA. That's for sure. Anyway, I really did like the story. I don't want to go too much into it because there's a lot of things that are connected to Pamela herself. She is not new to the demon hunting game. She's been doing it all her life, and there is a reason why she is doing it now specifically. And so I don't want to give that away. What I will say is that it's a very interesting tale. It has a lot of layers. I like Pamela's character. She is strong and considerate, but she isn't without empathy or compassion. I hope there's more to it. And I've read the entire series thus far. It was a little mini series. It was only 3 issues. A trade paperback has not come out, but I'm hoping they'll do one in the future for you guys who like to read trade paperbacks only. But if they don't, I still suggest you pick it up because it isn't that expensive. I think these were all $3.99 each. Yes, US. Let me show you some of the artwork too. Like I said, it is very much of the period. Look at the color usage and how the characters are drawn. I'm only going to show you artwork from the first issue because I don't want to give too much away. But like here, these kind of browns and earth tones. Very nice. And the action, I like the movement in the action here. Really well done. And I like how he does the cover art. Not only did he use the Roman numerals for 1975, it was kind of funny that when I asked for this at the comic shop, they didn't know exactly what I was talking about because they didn't know that's what this translated to. But that's funny. And I didn't know either. I think I kind of Googled it and found out like how do you say that, and it just went to 1975. But here's like the cover for issue number 2. Really nice. And here's the cover art for issue number 3. I like that one panel kind of look. So yeah, if you go to your local comic book shop, hopefully they'll still have these issues. If not, I think you can download this on Amazon through Comixology, and let's hope in the future that Image does put out a trade for people who like to read it that way. But either way, I do suggest reading it. I really enjoyed the story, and the artwork is nice too. Next up, I have Prodigy here, issues 1 and 2. This is written by Mark Miller, and the artwork is done by Raphael Albuquerque. Love that name. Mark Miller, you may be familiar with Kick-Ass and Hit Girl. He also, I believe, is the screenwriter for the movie series Kingsman. And I do believe he also wrote for the MCU. He either wrote Captain America Civil War or Winter Soldier. I'm not entirely sure which one. But in either case, Captain America is my favorite series in the MCU, so he gets brownie points for either one. This is about this guy here. His name is Edison Crane, and he is basically the most interesting man in the world who doesn't drink Dos Equis.
Stay thirsty, my friends.
He is the master of all. He is an expert businessman, a prolific scientist, an inventor, a humanitarian, an environmentalist. You name it, he is basically the best at it. So he gets a lot of requests, not just from like fans who want him to jump the Grand Canyon on the back of a motorcycle completely on fire. Yes, he does this. But he also gets requests from different countries to help with certain things, like to retrofit their nuclear power plants to run more efficiently, or to even try a new form of energy that isn't so dangerous, like cold fusion or something like that. In this story, he gets a request from Australia. They're having some issues down there with cars just bursting into existence, and when they open them, there are dead animals inside. Weird. In any case, he finds this odd too, so he goes down there, he checks it out, and then they show him this other thing. It looks kind of like a spaceship, but when you open it up, there are 2 dead humans in it. He kind of formulates that it's not an invasion of like an alien kind, but of an alternate reality. So there's another Earth somewhere that is trying to invade our Earth. And these are kind of test runs they're doing. Maybe they don't understand it's not working, because they did eventually try it with 2 humans and they ended up dead too. So they obviously don't have an Edison Crane on their Earth. In any case, Edison is now on the case, and he is trying to figure out how to stop this invasion from happening, and who on our side is assisting them. And when you meet those people, that may turn you off to the story altogether. They are rancid. I don't know who Mark Miller knows in his real life that would inspire such characters, but these people are just disgusting. Oh, and he does get help from her. Her name is Rachel. She's like this Black Ops CIA agent. Really badass. Nice sidekick to have. But back to the story. I like the story. I think the movement of it, the pace of it is pretty good. Miller knows how to write a good story, and he knows how to keep the action pretty even and how to move the plot along. So I like that about him. What I will say though is that I'm having a little problem with Edison Crane. He comes off a little like Dr. Manhattan, you know, really intelligent, that sometimes he doesn't feel like he connects with humanity anymore. It's like he looks as ants. Don't get it twisted. He's not completely devoid of any humanity, but there's just a disconnect there that I hope that is going to be part of his journey, that he becomes a little more, I don't know, relatable, or at least approachable. There's just something a little distant about him that just kind of like, I don't know. Maybe working with Rachel will help with that too. But in any case, I do like the story. I do like Edison overall, aside from that Dr. Manhattan feel I get from him. And I like the artwork as well. Raphael Albuquerque is doing a good job. Here he is jumping the Grand Canyon on fire. I don't know why people listen to people on Twitter. But here's more of the artwork. Just really nice. Nice pencil work, nice use of color. Nice, I like how Edison is drawn. He's attractive. I'll give you that. And, yeah, we'll show him as a kid here. And this is him in the beginning as a little kid. If you like Miller's work, if you like that kind of over-the-top action, a person who does like a lot of strange, that would never happen in real life action sequences, this is kind of your story. It's fun, it's interesting, it has a sci-fi element to it with a lot of action, possibly some romance thrown in there for a little bit. And hasn't happened yet, but maybe in some later iterations. I think this is supposed to be a short run series. I'm not 100% certain on that. From somewhere I feel like I've heard that this is going to be limited. Not as small as 1975 was with 3 issues. I think maybe 7 or 10. I could be wrong. Don't quote me. I could be wrong about that. So you can either pick it up in single issues like I've been doing, or you can wait for a trade. I think Miller's stuff is usually automatically pegged for trade paperback, so this will definitely be in a trade paperback in future. So if you want to wait for that, that's cool too. But I think this is something that has enough interest in it for me, enough story in it with each issue that you could pick it up single issue at a time. They come out at a pretty good clip, so you won't be waiting forever for the next one. Weird character, but interesting story. I liked it. Next up, I have something from Brian Michael Bendis, and that is Purl, issue number 1. Says here he is the creator of Jessica Jones. I did not know that. I know that Brian Michael Bendis has something to do with Into the Spider-Verse, especially with Miles Morales. I think he was the first author of the Miles Morales storyline for Marvel. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments below, but that's what I think I heard that somewhere. And it's on, I believe, his imprint, Jinxworld. Now this is about a young woman named Purl. She is a tattoo artist. She was trained in Japan by a world-renowned tattoo artist, and now she works, I believe, in her own private shop in San Francisco, California. Now she's out on a town with her girls. She meets these guys. They chat each other up, and then crap happens. The Yakuza shows up and starts shooting at everybody. Because I guess that's what they do. When the dust settles from that, she finds out that now she has somehow inadvertently got involved in Yakuza business. The head Yakuza in San Francisco wants her to now become a hitman for his crew. Yes, an assassin for his crew. And he wants her to freshen up his back tattoo while she's at it. But it's a real interesting story. It's definitely a case of wrong place, wrong time, talking to the wrong people. And from that point on, I guess we find out how she deals with this new job of hers being an assassin and how she plans to get herself out of this situation. The artwork is done by, Michael Gatiss, and I believe that he and Brian Michael Bendis work together a lot. Where the story I found interesting, the artwork kinda threw me a bit. So this is what some of the artwork looked like, where it's kind of like a photo that's been kind of a green sepia tone, and which I was fine with. And then there was more stuff kind of like this that really just didn't harmonize with me. Now, I don't know if this has anything to do with Japanese manga, if this is kind of like a nod to that. It doesn't really feel like it to me. So if it is, I kind of get it, but at the same time, I just found it distracting. And also what I found distracting was this strange Batman story that they had at the back of the book. What? But I like Batman, so you know, I read it. It was fine. It was a little short ditty. That's cool. But overall, let me get it straight. I like Purl. I like the character Purl. I thought she was interesting, to be sure. But this is not something that I would pick up in single issue. I would probably wait until the first trade comes out and then pick that up read that in its entirety, and then that would determine whether or not I would continue on with this series. But right now, I do like Purl. I do find the story interesting. The artwork isn't really resonating with me, but that is something I can get over if the story really hits. So this is kind of a wait and see for me. But if you are a Bendis fan and you just get his work because you like his work, if you a Gatiss fan and you like his artwork, I would suggest picking it up because the story seems compelling, and I like a badass female lead, especially one with the tattoo thing. A lot of people like this story. This is why I picked it up. And where I thought the writing was pretty solid, like I said before, it's just the art that was kind of throwing me. So next I have Batwing #1. This is written by Judd Winnick and the art is done by Ben Oliver. This is what they call a Dark Night over Africa. We'll get into that in a minute. So it's about a young man named David Zavimbe, and as a child he was in one of those guerrilla armies. He was adopted, you could say, or forced to be in a guerrilla army, and through most of his youth he fought as a soldier in this army of a very vicious dictator. Well, you know, that thing usually comes to a head when you disagree with the tactics of your leader, and he had to kind of get out of there lickety split. So he escapes. He finds kind of a new mentor and kind of grew up under that tutelage where his technique or his skill set was geared toward helping people. So now he is a police officer in, I believe, the Congo. And he's a police officer by day. He's also this kind of, I guess you could say, daredevil vigilante at night, trying to root out corruption and evil in his country and to make it safe for his people. And Batman hears about this vigilante. Of course, he comes over and he tells him, you know, I like your style. Let me help you out by giving you all of this technology. So that's pretty much Batman's involvement in this. He does assist, but he is not like this white savior. David Zavimbe is the star of this show, and Batman, aka Bruce Wayne, is assisting him because he can. He's a billionaire, he has tons of money and tons of access, and he can assist anybody he wants to, and he has chosen to help David with his quest to help his nation. Now, the core of this story has to deal with something quite interesting. David is not the first costume hero to ever be on the continent of Africa. There seems to have been 7 of them. They were like a crew, kind of like a Justice League before, that helped many nations in Africa over a large period of time to eradicate a couple of things: colonialism or guerrilla armies, or to help with agricultural or technology pursuits, or to help diplomacy between nations. Whatever, you know, they could assist with, they did. And they were very well received. And then they just disappeared one day. All 7 of them just poof. There's this new villain who is called Massacre, who is finding the mass superheroes in their normal lives and killing them with extreme brutality. So David is trying to find out why this is happening and stopping it. And during the investigation, he has run into Massacre a couple of times, and it is becoming evident that Massacre believes that these people, the 7 heroes, did something really atrocious that resulted in the deaths of thousands of people. So he is basically seeking revenge, at least in his mind. Now, we don't know what happened yet. If what they did result in the deaths of thousands of people and they just kind of deuced out, that's kind of crappy too. So it's going to be interesting to find out exactly what is going on and what have these people done in order for somebody to seek them out to dispense this brand of justice, because it is brutal. I mean, for a DC comic. So artwork, I like it. Let me show you some of the justice here. So it is really nice. I like the use of color. I like the action and the movement. I like the pencil work too. Yeah, I love the action scenes. They're really done well. I mean, it's a nice looking book. It's an interesting story. David is relatable as opposed to Edison Crane in Prodigy, where it seems like he's above it all. I mean, David has definitely, in this first issue, we've seen a lot of growth with his character over the course of his life, where you see how he got to this point and you know what he's attempting to do. And I like that. It's nice to see it from his point of view. Now, whether he's right about this situation or not remains to be seen. Also, I like the use of Batman and Bruce Wayne in this story. I'm a Batman fan, but if it is about somebody else, the story should center around them, and that he definitely does. Batman is kind of scattered in for some flavor. Now, it seems like that's going to pick up in volume 2 and maybe beyond that, because they do kind of hint that you can see Nightwing and Robin here will be coming into the storyline. So I am excited about that because I am a Nightwing fan too. So honestly, this was a nice surprise for me. I never heard of Batwing before, and I didn't know they had a character that was associated with Batman and on another continent like this. So it's kind of interesting to pick up a book and read a full story about it. I really enjoyed it. I do plan on continuing this. Batman is still my ace, still my first boo. But yeah, I like David's character so far, and I want to learn more about him. Next up, I have Afar by Leila Del Dusa and Kit Seaton. I hope I'm saying Leila's name right. But I picked this up a while ago, and it's been sitting on my shelf, and I just decided to read it now, and I'm so glad I did. It was such a nice change of pace. Not without its problems, but I did enjoy the story overall. It centers around this character, Botima, and she is a 15-year-old girl who, when she falls asleep, she astral projects to another world. She inhabits the body of a inhabitant of another world, so she kind of lives through their body vicariously while she sleeps. She doesn't know why this is happening to her, and she doesn't know how to control it. So at first she believes she's just dreaming, but it happens so often, and over time she figures out that these are not dreams, that these are actually actions that are happening in real time for her. So that part is interesting. And there are also a couple of side stories to this. One that involves her brother, who's a 13-year-old boy who gets into a lot of little mischief and can't get himself out of it. And then they have to travel from one city to another because they're kind of deadbeat parents leave them for 3 months to go work at some salt mines because her father's kind of sketchy. So they have to travel to another city for work, and also to get out of the mess her brothers caused. I'm being vague here because I don't want to give too much away. But in that travel, there's a little adventure that goes along with that. So there are some side stories along with the astral projection of it. And that's where it actually kind of falls apart. The side stories aren't really wrapped up. You never find out what happens to the parents. You never find out the resolution to why they had to leave their home in their second city. And then they meet certain people, and you never find out the resolution of the relationship with those. It just kind of ends. But they do wrap up the story about the astral projection to a degree, where she had traveled to a certain place where she was more humanoid and she interacted with the people there more, and there was a kind of civil war going on there. She participated in that, but all the other storylines were just kind of left dangling, and that's where I feel like this fell apart. Overall, I did enjoy the astral projection story, and I did enjoy the secondary stories too. That's why I'm kind of disappointed that I didn't get any resolution to those. The artwork I did enjoy too, other than this beautiful cover. Gorgeous. I did like the artwork in here as well. I like the drawings and the use of style and the color here. This blue was stunning. I love the blue, like here. I just love that blue. And then I liked how they depicted the city. Let me see if I can show it to you. They had to travel to a different city. And when they arrive, you get this beautiful depiction of the city. I love that. I love how the city looks so active and alive there. I really did like that. And it kind of conveyed this cultural kind of mosh pit that you get in like continents like that. I believe this is also set in Africa, so you get like there's several different cultures that live there that actually interact quite a bit, and I like that is depicted in the story. And then of course I love these two are some of my favorite pages, because this is one of the people they meet on their journey, this rich established woman with her caravan that they become a part of. Just gorgeous pages here. Like I said, I enjoyed the story. I just wish there was more of it. I don't know if the idea was that this was going to continue into a series or not, and they just scrapped it. But if they ever get a chance to expand the narrative here, I hope they jump at it, because I would like to know more about some of the other characters in here. And I think the astral projection storyline could be expanded too, because she was just kind of getting a real grasp on that skill of hers and finding ways of getting educated about it when we come to at the end of the story. So we don't really get much more than her accidental forays into other worlds. It would be nice to see the character kind of deliberately go to places, kind of like a quantum leap thing, you know? If you're old enough to remember that show. But yeah, Afar. Overall, I love the story. I thought the writing was really well done. It's more youthful. I think it's definitely written for teens or YA audiences, but I do think more mature people could enjoy it, especially if you like that kind of fare. And otherwise, I really enjoyed it, and I would look up more from these two writers because I like their voice. I really did. I just wanted more of it. Lastly, but not least, is East of West. This is written by Jonathan Hickman, and the rest, the artwork is done by Nick Dragonetta. The color is done by Frank Martin, and the letters are done by Russ Wooten. In true style, Jonathan Hickman doesn't give you much to go on what this story is about on the cover. So you see a guy here with a 6-shooter, and you just get this idea that this is kind of like a Western themed story. And in essence it is. It does place, I guess you can say, the Southwest of the Americas. But this is an alternate universe America where there is no United States, but there are 7 nations of the America, because actions during the Civil War went way left. And it did not result in a united America, but actually a division between 7. And also out of that came this great apocalyptic prophecy, of which each head of the 7 nations are participants in. They have kind of sworn to participate and facilitate the end of the world. You think that they would be like the antagonist or protagonist of the story, but no. In this story, on both sides of the equation are the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. On one side, you have war and famine and conquest. And then on the other side, on the protagonist side, you have death. This is death. Death is the lead of this story, and it is so far amazing. we start out when we see the arrival of the 3 other horsemen. War, famine, conquest have re-emerged on Earth to start the apocalypse. And they are very pissed because 1, they all look like 14-year-olds, and 2, Death is not among them. He did not join them here because he is already on Earth, and he has been on Earth since the last time they were here. Yes, this is a second attempt, a do-over, if you will, to start the apocalypse. It is so crazy. And when you find out what happened during the last time, 1, you'll understand why Death didn't show up, and 2, why he is now the hero of this story. But whereas interesting and surreal as the story is, the artwork, oh my God. Where do we even begin? Oh, let's start with this. Here's Death doing what he does, killing people. I mean, he is the protagonist, but you know, this is his nature and he will do what is natural to him. But look at the artwork on this. Look at the color, how rich and vibrant it is. That's what really kind of drew me to this book. Jonathan Hickman's name drew me to the book because I really was a big fan of the Black Monday murders. But as I was flipping through the pages, the artwork was just so stunning. Look at that. Gorgeous. And it does have a very Western feel, but it also has this beautiful sci-fi feel to it that just really works. Oh, here's some action sequences you might like. Look at that. And some of my favorite pages I'm flipping where they're kind of just sitting there. Yes, Death has some companions with him that are about as brutal as he is. I love them. And I think you're going to like them too. But look at the color. Look how gorgeous this is. This is the day and this is them at night in the same location. I just love that kind of beautiful transition there. What is his name again? The colorist, Frank Martin, the colorist, just did the damn thing with this book. It is gorgeous to look at. I don't want to show you too much because I don't want to give too much away, but I will show you one extra thing here. This is Death and that is his wife. Dun dun dun! I mean, it is such a compelling and interesting story with fantastic artwork. This is honestly what jump-started my reading again. But if you think about the character of Death that we have seen over several iterations of storytelling in the Western world at least, he is a character not necessarily to be feared or maligned, but he's just a kind of guide to take you from one plane to another. So for him to be in this story and not have alliances with the other 3 horsemen to bring about the apocalypse not only isn't something that is unheard of, but it's also interesting his perspective as to why he no longer wants to go along with the program. I love that. I love that. I mean, this is why I like Hickman, because he just takes these interesting stories and things that we know of, even tangentially in our own culture and society, and really kind of weaves a nice little tale around them. Very fascinating. I like those philosophical elements that he puts into his storyline. And I see like I'm just going to have a great time with this. So, like I said, last but not least, East of West, Jonathan Hickman. I'm having a ball reading this. And if you can catch it at the used bookstore, catch it. If you can afford it new, I would get it new. Honestly, I do not think digital will do this justice. I love how this printed up. If you only read digital, that's fine. But honestly, I love how the color on the paper just reads off of it. Just beautiful work here. So that's it, guys. That is all I have for my comic review. I have more. I have been reading tons, so I do have other stuff that I want to talk about, but I'm going to save that for another video. If you stayed to the end of the video, thank you so much for watching me ramble about comics. I do want to get back into doing that. I know my channel kind of devolved into a Funko Pop website, but I do still love my Funko Pops, and I'm sitting here waiting on the delivery right now. So I will be doing Funko Fridays again, hopefully more consistently, so stay tuned for those. But thank you guys for watching. If you want to see more videos like this, please give this one a thumbs up and subscribe, because your support is always appreciated. I'm back into the flow. I will see you guys next time. Bye bye.